One of the things that got me moving from the left side of politics over to the right side of politics was all of the true disinformation that was being spread by the left wing media during the COVID crisis, and them lying about everything that Trump said at the time. He would say something and then they would take it completely out of context, report on it as if it was simply the one liner that they were writing in their report, and then running with it, making it seem like he was an idiot or that he didn't know what he was talking about, when there was always tons of context that proved Trump not only knew what he was talking about, but in the long run and in the end, he was proven right on most of the things that he ever said that he was made fun of for. So, one of the things specifically in recent news that Trump has gotten a lot of heat on, which really only took a few days for him to be proven right, is this Tylenol thing. You know, once it was released that he and RFK thought that Tylenol might be a reason, or acetaminophen really, might be a reason for autism in children and babies specifically, if a mother was to take it during pregnancy, once they released that information during their press conference, you saw leftist women, pregnant women, go to social media and start taking Tylenol in rebellion to Trump and in rebellion to the science that he was presenting that may have shown evidence that Tylenol acetaminophen was causing autism within babies pre-birth. So, this is something that I don't really understand at all. If I was a pregnant woman, why would you ever risk taking something that could harm your child just because someone that you hate said something? Because that's what we're dealing with right now. It's just crazy, dude. These people are absolutely deranged. But more or less, the coolest thing that came out of this press conference is that they also mentioned leucovorin, which is another medication that they said could be a help to people experiencing autism and that it could be a cure. The crazy thing is, this mother has posted to social media that it has been a cure for her son, who is 5 years old and has been completely nonverbal for 3 years. So, let's listen to this mom's testimony. Let's see what she has to say. I want to go back and look at some of the crazy things that leftists were also doing and even some danger they experienced because of their completely unthought out rebellion. So let's go ahead and watch this mother's testimony and, see what she has to say about her experience with leucovorin, which was only recently discussed by the Trump administration and RFK.
So my son just started leucovorin for the first time. In case you haven't been paying attention, that was the other drug that was mentioned when they were talking about this Tylenol fiasco, which, put a pin in that. We really should be talking about leucovorin. My son is 5 years old and he's nonverbal, low-functioning autistic. He wasn't always this way though. Up until about a year and a half, 2 years old, my son knew words, a lot of words. He couldn't say sentences, but he could say one or two words put together. And then there was an incident that I'm not allowed to speak of because of TikTok regulations. They took down the video that I tried to talk about what had happened in there, but you put the two together. Right after that, he just had a steep decline in language, and it halted, and he hadn't spoken since. He's been on this medication for less than 48 hours, and my son just spoke for the first time. My nonverbal son just spoke for the first time in over 3 years. Every day I've been praying for an answer, praying for my son to be healed. And all this time, we've just had leucovorin sitting on the shelves. I'm telling you right now, if your child is nonverbal, if you are the parent of a nonverbal autistic child, get them on leucovorin as soon as you possibly can, because this is the answer that we have all been praying for.
Yeah, 48 hours. That's all it took for this to more or less cure her nonverbal son. I mean, if you're nonverbal and then you start talking, you're verbal once again. So 3 years of him being nonverbal, 48 hours of taking leucovorin resulted in him saying his first words after all that time. So, it's an incredible thing. I don't think that people understand that Trump and RFK, they are leading with science. And personally, for me, I'd rather have RFK in that position than a man that would use the she, her pronouns. Okay. We needed someone like RFK in that position to really make America healthy again, because that is what we need as a nation. We don't need 1 in 13 children being autistic. It's not a good thing. Some people will say it's the evolution of humans. It's not, okay? It's not the evolution of humans. We're a social creature. We are a social creature, humankind. And we can't be evolving anti-socially. We can't be. I mean, that might be a debate to have with someone in the future. I would love to have it, honestly. Whether evolving anti-socially or socially is the advantage evolutionarily. It's a very, very interesting topic to discuss. There's no doubt about it. I would love to have it with someone. But another thing I would like to talk about is the leftists that were posting about this and the dangers that some of them encountered and, possibly ended up with a fatality in this case. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But this shows, the consequences of delusional hatred resulting in completely illogical actions. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and go to this other post, see what this wonderful lady has to say. She has just dealt with an absolutely triggering, life-changing situation. And she's still able to, get this out there so that we understand how these people are willing to harm themselves to prove a point. Let's go ahead and listen to her talk about the phone call she just received.
I got a call, a very frantic call at 4 o'clock in the morning from a husband whose wife is now dying of liver failure on a ventilator in an ICU because she was trying to prove that Tylenol doesn't cause autism because of what Trump said on the news. Mind you, that's a Harvard study. Now, whether or not you believe the Harvard study or not is not the issue here. The issue is that she's somewhere between 23 to 25 weeks and she overdosed on Tylenol. And she's going to die. She's not going to come off that ventilator. And the guy got my phone number from somebody. Somebody gave it to him. I mean, guys, it's early in the morning. I'm still in Hello Kitty sweatpants in my gym trying to work out. And she's gonna die. It's gonna be, let me tell you something about Tylenol overdosing and death, is that if you aren't administered the antidote, it is a very slow and painful death, okay? Because Tylenol, as well as Benadryl and aspirin, are the 3 most common OTCs that people will typically try to unalive themselves with, so it don't get censored. But now people are just taking massive amounts of Tylenol to prove Trump wrong. I mean, weren't these the same people who put Harvard and Fauci and the pillars of science on a pedestal? And now they refuse to believe it. Like, I don't believe it either. But I'm also not going to go overdose on Tylenol either. And it's just so sad because he has to make the choice of them going and trying to emergency deliver this baby. And the baby may not survive. The baby's going to spend a long time in the NICU. Hopefully the baby will survive. And remember, guys, preemies have complications even if they do survive. I didn't ask him if he had more children. So, I mean, let's say this woman they have more children. They lost their mother. Baby's not going to grow up with the mom. He lost his whole life if this baby dies too. All because of TikTok challenges, guys. Everybody wants, well, not everybody, but maybe these crazy liberal women. They, literally hate Trump so bad that she killed herself and her baby, potentially. I'm just I don't even have words for this because it's such a waste of life.
Yeah, it is such a waste of life. I could not have said it better myself. This woman just went through a traumatic experience by just getting that phone call from this gentleman, and there was nothing she could do about it. Absolutely nothing that she could do about it. She could just tell him the worst news that he would ever hear in his entire life. Politics has gotten to a place where discussion is too much of a rarity. Education and enlightenment is almost null, and everyone wants to be stuck in their ways. I would love to be enlightened by someone on things that I need to be educated about. Tell me in the comments if there's anything that you disagree with. I'd love to talk about it. We need to think about things logically. And overdosing on Tylenol to prove the president wrong is not the way. We need to unite as Americans, whether or not we're pro-choice or pro-life or pro-Palestine or pro-Israel or pro-Tylenol or not. It's so far beyond these single issues. It's so much more important than just these single issues. I hope that we can all learn that, and that we can learn from each other and the mistakes that others make. Because if we don't learn from our mistakes, we're bound to repeat them. This is Aaron West. Please comment, like, and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good night. Bye.